So, hi again. Just to get a feeling, how many of you were at the previous talk? Okay, that's good. And the YOOtheme Community Day talk? Okay, half of you. Good. So, we didn't want this to be like a normal presentation, like I do slides and stuff, but more like an interactive kind of, if you have questions, if you have like use cases you would like to understand how those can be done with Essentials, feel free to ask, and crossing fingers we should be able to like demo something. So I'll start by showcasing some of the stuff that it can be done, but since, as you saw before, it was like, I don't know, 50 things, it's kind of hard in 45 minutes to like show them all. So if you have any like particular example that you think it may be done, shut out and we'll try to build it live. And if it doesn't work, it's because I'm using the beta. That's the excuse. So first things first, I practice. So what you'll see is the next version. You can try it out. Same as with Joomla, you change the update channel in Joomla, and you get all the beta updates, and you can try them out. We publish the TP3, yeah. So yeah, I can try that. So just to. Sorry for the GitHub, it's just easier for me to just go here. So, no. Next. Yeah, I should change it to next. So, beta. We have a few betas, as you see. We introduced two big things. It's the new dynamic. So, we refactor dynamic from the ground up. And the UI is completely different, and it has some new feature. And we also did a bunch of other stuff, as you can see, mainly on dynamic compose sources and those kind of things. Yeah, of course. If we break things in the measures, so like 3 point whatever. But I think we always manage to like do some upgrade script and just works. So we hope to keep that way in the future. Just to make it clear, you need the YOOtheme Pro to make our extension works, but that's, I guess, something that everyone knows. It's just a system plugin for Joomla or a plugin for WordPress, and you install it, enable it, and you get all the features within YOOtheme Pro without any other step. By the way, you can disable features, so you can like go into advanced, and any of the tools that we provide can be turned off. And any related feature to that particular add-on will be disabled. So if you disable dynamic, you just have a normal YOOtheme Pro dynamic sources. If you disable forms, you don't have any forms anymore. So if you don't want something to be available in that particular site for whatever reason, you can disable them. So that's a neat feature, I think. It doesn't slow down your site if you leave everything on, so don't worry about that. It just kicks in if you put something into the page. So, where we start from? One of the features that we like to showcase is the sources, which is one of the like more powerful things along with form actions. So, for example, here I have this list of things. This is a YOOtheme Pro normal template that you can download. And they have this list of resources that usually is a list of articles in Joomla. They fetch the articles and showcase the first 4 of that category. Here I'm using sources to load the same data, but from a different place, in this case from a CSV file, but it can be anything. So it can be an Google Sheet, a CSV, can be Facebook, can be Instagram, can be TikTok, can be whatever. And the process is always the same. So I'll just showcase one thing, or two if you want, whatever your suggestion may be. But the workflow is always the same. So you go to Essentials, Sources, and here you can basically add new sources to YOOtheme Pro that weren't available before to your normal list of dynamic content sources that you find in any element. So for example, here I already created a CSV source, an RSS source, an XML source, a YouTube source, whatever, a database source. So what's the process? The process is simple. You just press add and choose what you want to add. As you can see, we have quite a bit of things going on. One thing that we recently did was to group stuff based on the service. So for example, if you see XML, Instagram, and YouTube have the badge icon with the number, that means that within that category, you have more options. So for example, XML could be a local file or a remote file. Or Instagram can be personal or business. YouTube can be channel, private, public, lot of stuff. So what I did was create a CSV source, which is just name, which will be the one that will be displayed when you choose the dynamic source from your element, a description if you want, and a local file. This can be any file in the file system that's readable by PHP, so it can be within the site or outside of the site. As long as it's reachable and readable, the system will pick it up. You can customize, like if it's semicolon, colon, whatever, the separator, the enclosure, anything. And if you want it to be cached, so instead of reading the file from the disk each time, you can cache it. In the CSV case, is useful up until a certain point because you're still reading from disk, just a different location, the cache. But if you have like Memcache or Redis or something configured in Joomla, then it will be way faster because it will read from the cache dedicated system. So this is CSV, for example. I'll open an example already prepared. So this is resource CSV. It reads from resources CSV. In this case, I don't have a / at the start, so it will be from the site root onward. So if I open this site locally, which is here, I have a resources folder, and within that, I have a resources CSV. But I could do like /user/ whatever. And this is a simple CSV, like 4 columns, just to showcase how that works. And what this allows me to do is go into the builder. And for example, this is the grid I'm showcasing. This is a dynamic source. And as you can see, the UI is a little bit different from the core YOOtheme Pro version. We change a bit of stuff. So for example, if I click here, I can edit the list of sources. I can search it. This is grouped by what it is. So a page source, a global source, or a custom source, instead of the long list of 10,000 sources that can be. And it's searchable. So if you forget what it is, you just search the resources and it works. And once you pick it up, basically here you have any column of the CSV available as a separate field to map. So it works as any other source in YOOtheme Pro. You can filter, you can do a lot of stuff. So for example, here I just have the CSV file, but I can filter the CSV based on any of the fields of the CSV. So like ID greater than 12, title that starts with whatever you want. And they can be composed. So you can choose any field like title and say contains, I don't know, test. and the system will filter out the rows of the CSV file based on what you say here. And this can be dynamic. So if you filter based on another source, like the article you're in, or the timestamp, or whatever, this can be very flexible. So you could have like a CSV where you have the, I don't know, user ID column, and you have a single CSV with a lot of data, and you can choose to show to the current user only a piece of that CSV based on his user ID. Or, I don't know, it's a list of events. You have a date column, and you want to show only the next events. This works in any of our sources that support filters, which is whatever. Yeah, you can create another CSV source and filter another CSV source, so you can do crazy stuff. The same thing goes with order. So this is filters, order is the same. So you go ordering. This is multiple ordering, so first order by this, then by that. And it works the same, so field, and you decide if it's ASC or DSC ordering. So yeah, you can go crazy with this and just know what you are doing because it gets complicated really fast, and then you need to know what you did to check what happened. But we have several tens of tests on this, so we try to cover every single combination. This is also very fast because it doesn't load the full CSV into memory. It goes row by row. So even if you have 10,000 rows in the CSV, this still works pretty fast. And if you want, you can cache this thing. So instead of caching the entire CSV file, you can cache this particular filtered version. So you just filter the first time and cache the results, and the system will cache it for you and use all the dynamic data to create separate caches if the dynamic argument is different. So if you have 10 users, they will have 10 different caches, so it's not the same result for everyone. So you can do crazy stuff with this. You can offset, skip the first one. You can create a fake pagination if you want. So it's really, really powerful. This filter is done, as Miljan like to say it, on the first level. So it's not load everything and then filter out. Is just take out the number of records you want. This concept can be applied to most of the sources. I don't remember them all, so I'll just go and see. For example, the same thing can be done with database source. So this is a query builder. So if you do database, you do the same thing, but you can query your Joomla database or another database on the same machine or on a different machine, as long as it's reachable by the site. Yes. It's the same driver as Joomla. So if Joomla uses SSL, the system uses SSL, and so on and so forth. So basically, this does just a new JDatabase driver instance of the driver you want. So for example, if you have a Postgres database, you can query a Postgres database. Same with SQL Server, all that stuff. So you can then choose the table you want to query. So for example, let's try a different database, just for fun. Yeah, maybe I should have created the collection first, but whatever, localhost. This is 1001 root. I'm locally, so don't look at password and stuff. So these are my local databases. Basically only these two, because the rest is just MySQL default stuff. So I'm currently in YOOday24 database. I can query this one without any issue, because I just need to say, instead of the current site connection, I can go with YOOessentials. And when I do table, these are the table of the other site. So if you I have two sites, or a site and another CRM application or whatever, you can take data out from. This is very, very useful, for example, for if you have an e-commerce on the same server or on a different server, you want to like load the products from the database of the e-commerce site, you can do this.
I know there's the users source already in the core, but I could create a Joomla user query with
Yes.
custom fields and filter it on the first level here.
You can do like users.
Combine the user with the user fields table.
Yeah.
And then would have
Yeah, you do users, primary key of the table. This is used for like advanced ordering and stuff. And then you can relate other tables. So you can do the belongs to and has many joins. So you can do left join on a table. So you do add relation, I don't know, fields, or let's do, yeah, fields. I hope it's not on many to many, but whatever. One to many. Let's do articles just for showcasing. It's content, sorry. I always forget. So a user has many articles he has written. So you can do one to many articles, and you just need to say how to join those. So this is ID. Yeah, that's the, sorry, this is created by. Yeah, and you can do several. No, yeah, you get the row columns, but you do not get the article type. So for example, the content will be the content of the content column in the database, but if it's then parsed like with the YOOtheme Pro, it's a JSON, that's not builder. You can do that with another relation, but my suggestion, if you go that far, just build a custom source, because it's way easier to just manage and do stuff. We can take a look at that if you want. Yeah.
The problem is like links to the articles and stuff.
You need to build them manually. So for example, here you could do it, because let's see if I can. Let's do it simpler. So instead of doing user with their own articles, just for simplicity's sake, let's do content, and the primary key is ID, and this is content. I don't know. Then you have pages builder, whatever. Let's get this one above and do grid. Okay, so now you can do add item, the usual stuff. So dynamic content, you have custom content, and this is the database table. So from this database table, I can get either information on the database table itself, so list of columns, that kind of things, number of results in the or rows in the table, or the list of records. And here you can do filtering, like only those from user whatever. This is the same as the CSV file one with the query, so it's where something. And what you can then do is map the. This is first level filtering, yeah. And here you see you have all the columns in the database. So you don't have like the builder output from the content column, okay? So you need to know what to use here. So here you can. The builder then processes the JSON to make it HTML. Yeah. This is the raw database, pure table. Everything else, yeah. So you need to know what you want to do. This is very useful for non-Joomla stuff usually. So if you have another database table you want to show stuff, this is the way. You can filter, you can order, you can cache, same thing as every other source. So this is cool. The link article, sorry, I got lost in my explanation. So you can do the link. I'll showcase like an example. So if you click articles, you'll see that, I don't know if this is big enough, but the link will be written by YOOtheme Pro in the Joomla router way. So if you just take IDs and instead of 168, which is the article I picked at random, you do like article ID, and then you do dynamic, composed. This is another feature we have in Essentials. You can compose sources within the same field. And inside ID, you just do node ID and you're done. This is basically, this will not work because this article is in another Joomla installation, so but you get the gist of it. So you can do crazy stuff with this thing and just, again, know what you're doing because, yeah, I've seen crazy stuff. So for example, if you load 200 images, it's 200 images. We cannot do anything about that. It's slow because it's 200 images, so whatever. So this is sources. Just to answer a question I received before, you can do external services stuff. So Instagram or Facebook or Google Sheet, yeah. You never load the data from the source except videos, as we were speaking before, videos. So images, we follow YOOtheme Pro. We download them into your site and we resize them on the site. So the user doesn't load the Instagram image if you specify the image size. So we then download it, cache it, and display it. If you do videos, though, we use the URL of the video on the provider source, so TikTok or YouTube. So that's GDPR compliant at some point. Depends on how you use it, but it's your choice.
I looked it up. There's a plugin that I told you, and it's working for Vimeo, YouTube, but not TikTok.
Yeah, but you can ask. You can ask the. So, so for example, Instagram. Let's do Facebook. Yeah, my Instagram account is not very populated, so I'll try with the business one, so I can use a Instagram business page instead of a personal account. So IG, whatever, and we built in. So how many of you know how Instagram or Facebook work from a developer perspective? It's a mess. So basically, you need to get the user's permission to read his own data from the platform. And to do that, you need to be inside their marketplace. So for Facebook, it's developer.facebook.com. For Google, it's cloud.google.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So building that thing, it's not trivial. And most of the users don't know how to do that. So we... Yeah. Yeah, good luck. We have documentation for that if you want to go and look at it. So, for example, this was like...
Yeah, the thing is, I had like so many test apps from like 10 years ago in my account, and I would have to delete every one before
Yeah.
I create another one. And
what's that?
batch delete apps within Facebook, and it was really
Yeah, there is somewhere in our documentation. So developer, right? Custom Facebook dev app. For example, to create a Facebook integration without using our own integration, it's this process, very intuitive guidelines from Facebook and easy to like, no, it's a nightmare. So if you have just basic needs, so you don't have like lots of traffic and you are fine with us doing the middleman with Facebook, you just press authenticate, and this is what we could theoretically read from your account. Just know that we don't store anything, so we just pass it along to your site. This was also a big fight with Facebook because they think we use that data for ourselves, and we do not, so they are confused and they're like, so what are you doing? So we just take the token that Facebook gives you and just send it to your site, and then we delete it. We actually never store it, so it's even easier. And so we cannot, even if we wanted or we get hacked, we don't have your token. We cannot do anything with it. So be safe with that. So you log in. Of course, I'm not logged in because this is the speaker, my speaker, Mac. Love you, Facebook. Basically, we offer a free version, yeah, of this. Yeah, the Facebook. Let's say the first levels Facebook support is not good by any standard. So no, there isn't. You just need to find the first level support that actually knows what you're doing. So.
For example, cancel Juna official page.
As I was the stroppy person that wrote the
Yeah. It's super weird. Yeah, it's don't make me go there. So I already approved ZOOlanders because I use it. So okay, but the first time you do this, it's the classic like you are giving ZOOlanders A, B, C, D, whatever. So if I can click the button, okay. So I don't have permissions. What? No, I think it's okay. Anyway, what happens is that the system will then ask Facebook APIs how many pages you can manage in Instagram. Again, read the documentation on ZOOlanders because there are several caveats on this. So you need to be have a Facebook account linked to the Instagram account and be the owner of the account and another 10,000 things that Facebook wants. But for example, if I do the page, this is authorized, and then you can query your essentials, your Instagram stuff already, maybe. So let's say gallery, whatever, add, advanced, dynamic, custom, Instagram. How did I call it? IG, yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm stupid. I think I didn't do the last step. IG, yeah. I think this red thing is preventing me to showcase in this. Yeah, but it happened to me. It's the Wi-Fi of the hotel sometimes blocks some like services, so that may be the issue. But let me check this real quick. Custom. Yeah, I don't see it. Here should be Instagram, and then you can like filter all the like only images, videos, from which time frame, a bunch of other stuff. So just one thing, if you don't set, it's not here, it's in the gallery thingy.
Can you filter Instagram by hashtag?
There is a dedicated query for that. So yes, but if you want like your images and then filter by hash, you need to do with a second level filtering. So it fetches everything and then you display only a partial of that, because the hashtag works top level, so you can fill all the media from Instagram with that hashtag, but not yours. So it's kind of, yeah, the API from Instagram is, again, yeah, whatever. So if just one thing, remember to set the size of the image, because if you don't do that, we'll serve the original one. So the Instagram URL, which is not bad by itself, but it has some GDPR stuff that you need to be aware of. So you don't load your website, but you're serving stuff from third parties. So this is, if you set this, we'll download the image, resize the image, and display the image from your server. It will never reach the user thingy. So this is sources. Yep. we looked at it, and the developer platform is, yeah.
We tried it. We found some blocks like walls, and we didn't really.
I think there is an issue with how can you be a LinkedIn developer. There is some like authorization stuff that you need to do. So since it's not a super requested integration, we could do. Yeah. So yeah, the issue here is that we need to invest a lot of time with the platform, and not with the extension. Is actually trivial. It's the platform thingy that takes a lot of time. Again, yeah. Yeah, it is. We since Twitter is basically not used anymore, so or not so much. X, sorry. That's the reason.
If you have a slideshow on Instagram, will it just be the first picture?
No.
Or
If I remember correctly, this was one of the first bugs we had, and should be like it fetches every image of the slideshow. And you can also maybe filter the slideshow type or something like that. So yeah, it gets you the repeatable. So you have the post, and the post has many images, so you can like use the multi-content stuff to like display every image from that post.
There is an option to
Flatten it.
like the image preview. So even if it's a slideshow, it will take like I think the first one and only show that. So that covers like the basic use.
So since we have a lot of other things, if you have anything you want us to showcase or are curious about, tell us. So raise your hand and like, I want to see, I don't know, whatever. Okay. Don't be shy. Surprise us. So how many are developers here? Again, sorry, my memory is not good. Anyone wants to like see? You can build custom sources. You can build custom form actions. So it's custom sources. Okay, you have two ways. It depends on the use case, I guess. The first one is to use the core YOOtheme version of this, which is documented, I think, I hope. Yeah, developer sources. This thing is fine if you just need a one-shot thing. So you know who's your source, and you just need to showcase that source. Then this is the easiest way, which basically means, let me showcase. Yeah, so you can put it in your child theme, or you can build a plugin. I think they just released a starter plugin, so you can use the YOOtheme starter plugin to like init a basic version of the plugin. And what you need to do is have a bootstrap file where you tell the system load this source, which is this thing here. So you say when the source is in it, load my source, and then you add stuff to the YOOtheme Pro sources, which is GraphQL based. You usually have at least one object and one query. The object is the result. So for example, the Instagram post is an object, and the query is how you fetch one or a list of set objects. So when you get into it, it's really, really, really easy if you have a basic PHP knowledge, because the UI is just a list of fields, and the query is just a method that does something and returns an array of data. So my suggestion, if you have like a static thing you want to query, just use this method. And if I have time, I'll try to like wrap something super quickly. Not sure if I can. If you want to use our version, it's very useful if you need repeatable stuff. So for example, the big advantages of the source providers, that's the YOOessential version, is that you can have like 7 different CSV files. The source is just one implementation, and you give it parameters and it like generates the new source for you. So if you have something like CSVs or like several different data sources that are always the same, like you need them with different ID keys or API keys. For example, this could be, I don't know, you integrate a CRM like Zoho, Salesforce or something, you need to save data to or get data from that thing. And the integration is always the same. You just need to change like the ID of the customer, or then our solution allows you to create one class that deals with any version of that. That's also documented. Create a source provider, which follows the same thing. There is just one layer above it that tells the system how to make it generic, basically. But it's pretty consistent with how YOOtheme does. So yeah, I could try to demonstrate that live. I don't know. Form action are really way easier because it's just how do you do when saving something, and that's it. So it's one method, super easy. But yeah, it could be.
Also, it's a good place you can go if you
Yeah.
check our source code.
I was tinkering with something, so let me switch back to the real code, because otherwise, yeah, this doesn't work. So for example, sources, let's do the request source, for example. That's an easy one.
But that one is not really with the provider.
No, that's why it's easier to understand. So this is like a source we built using YOOtheme basic source stuff. So if you do, is that in core or in sources? Nice sources, I think. So yeah, give me just a second so I can reach the, let's do request query type. Okay, so let's, I love Zoom, the classic hotkey, no, Zoom Inida, yeah, the classic, let's do like under 50%. Is that good? Okay, so this is basically one of the two things, request type. You need two things. So this is the source that we provide that maps the URL to a source. So you can read anything from the URL, like the full URL, the parameters, the I don't know, the port, the host, everything. So the first thing that you need to do is, okay, how do I want the drop down when you select the fields in the dynamic content to look like? So which fields I want the user to be able to pick and choose from the drop down once you select the source. And that's the object. So you create a class, or actually you can just create an array if you want, because the configuration is just this array. We tend to create a class to represent that configuration just so we can look at it, but it's not required. So it's a list of fields. So time will be one field, href will be one field, IP will be another field, and so on and so forth. And each field has a type, so string, integer, etc., etc. This is a GraphQL type. So you are very limited in what you can do, which is basically the 4 primitives: string, integer, boolean, object, number, object. So everything needs to be one of these or another object. So you can nest things, but those are the types. An array, of course, a list of things. And then you have the metadata, which is just display things. So like here we have the label, how the user will see the label on top of the fields, and we call that request, for example. And then you have the query type. This is how you get the information from the request into that object. And again, it's again another config with the fields. This is the name of the query. It just needs to be unique. It doesn't mean anything. It's not displayed anywhere, but it needs to be unique. So you cannot have two sources in the system with the same name. And then you just give it a type, which is what the system returns. So in this case, this is where it is, type name. Okay, I'll show it later. It's the name that you register the object with. I'll showcase that later. But basically, is what is this function returning? An array, an object, an integer, something. Usually it's either an object or a list of objects. That's the two big things. And then how do you resolve this query? So what's the method that YOOtheme calls when you ask the builder to fetch the data? And usually it's just a resolve method within the same class for simplicity reasons. So in this case, we are just getting the request from the builder. You could do like, this is the YOOtheme Pro code, but it could be like factory, what's that? Joomla CMS factory, get input, get application, get input, something. Okay, array, get array, something like that. I still remember how to write Joomla code, apparently. So the only limitation, it needs to be an array or one of the primitive types. So if you declare here an object, this need to be the array representation of that object. If you return an int, it should be an int, and so on and so forth.
The reason why we don't use
This is because we already use WordPress, so we need to like support both in the same time. So we use the YOOtheme Pro version. But if you just do Joomla, it's completely fine to just do that, and you're done. The important thing is that this array here should be the same keys that you used in the object. So it should have a time property, IP property, href property, whatever. So let's just fall back to this. So now you have how you fetch the data and how that data looks like. And you just need to tell YOOtheme Pro to just know about this thing. So in our case, we have this bootstrap file. I'm trying to go like backwards so you can see how it looks. And you just register this events key in this bootstrap file. And this is the name of the event. It works like the plugins in Joomla. So there are a list of events that YOOtheme Pro triggers, and you listen to them and act upon this event. So this is the syntax in YOOtheme Pro, but basically is like on source init, do something. And what we do is just call the handle method on the register source class. This could be a closure, could be whatever you want, doesn't just matter. And in the handle here, yeah, this is a bit more complicated, but concept, the basic concept is, let's see if I can do this in a different way. I'll just write it out so it's easier to see. So for example, the handle could be something like, this is a source class from YOOtheme Pro. Okay, so this is source, spell it correctly. So you can do source, And this is the YOOtheme Pro source class, and you just need to register what you just written. So you register the object type, so the result basically. You give it a name, needs to be the same name of the response here. So you're basically telling YOOtheme Pro the return type of your function. So it needs to be the same type. So know that a YOOessential request object exists, and its declaration is request type config. That's it. You can even write inline here the array if you want. So it doesn't matter to be a class, it can be whatever you want. So it's just string array of fields. That's it. And then you do the same thing for the query type, which doesn't need the name because you already written it in the configuration. So it's request query type config. Yes.
If you go to the request folder, actually we are doing there.
Okay, thank you. So request folder where? In the core?
Providers,
Providers. Okay, sorry.
we have a source listener.
Oh, you're right. So this is the final version, which is the simplest way you can do a source. You have this bootstrap file, events, source init, as we said before, source listener, and call this one. This magic number here is just a priority. So since you can register this thing in multiple places, the order can matter. So if you need to register something at some specific place, that tells it if it's before or after something else. And this is how it looks. So we register two types actually, the request and the URL, and then the query type. And that's it. The only thing that's missing is how you tell YOOtheme Pro to load this bootstrap file, because it's just a file. YOOtheme Pro needs to know that you want to load this thing. So as I said before, it can be in the theme child of your site if it's just a site local thing, or it can be a dedicated plugin. In our case, it's packages Joomla YOOessentials. So on after initialize of a system plugin, you just require YOOtheme Pro. This is auto loading, ignore it. And just do app load and the path to the bootstrap file, and that's it. Here we are doing a bunch of other stuff just because we have several bootstrap files everywhere, but this is the basics. So yeah, if you use a starter plugin, all of this stuff is just already done, and you just need to write the custom source, and you're done. Okay, so I got the end sign, so thank you. And if you have any other question or want to know more, just reach out to me or Miljan, and we are here all day. So thank you again.